Neurodevelopmental disorders. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD. This involves challenges with social interaction, communication, and repetitive behaviors. People with ASD might have trouble understanding emotions, making eye contact, or engaging in back-and-forth conversation. They might also find comfort in routines and specific interests. There's no one-size-fits-all picture of ASD, and the spectrum is incredibly diverse. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. This is characterized by inattention, hyperactivity, or impulsivity. People with ADHD might struggle to focus, be easily distracted, or fidget constantly. They might also blurt out things or have difficulty waiting their turn. Down syndrome. This is a genetic condition caused by having an extra copy of chromosome 21. It can lead to intellectual disability, characteristic facial features, and certain health problems. Early intervention and support services are crucial for people with Down syndrome to reach their full potential. Learning disorders. Dyslexia. This is a learning disorder that affects reading fluency and accuracy. People with dyslexia might struggle with decoding words, understanding written language, or spelling. There's no cure, but specific educational strategies can help individuals with dyslexia excel in reading and writing. Dysgraphia. Another learning disorder that affects a person's ability to write clearly and efficiently. It can make handwriting messy, difficult to read, and tiring to produce. People with dysgraphia might also struggle with spelling and keeping their thoughts organized on paper. Mathematics disorder. Dyscalculia. Dyscalculia affects a person's ability to understand and perform mathematical calculations. They might struggle with basic arithmetic, understanding symbols, or applying math concepts to real-world problems. Special educational interventions can help individuals with dyscalculia develop stronger math skills. Cotard syndrome, also known as walking corpse syndrome, is a rare mental illness where someone believes they're dead, rotting, or missing body parts. It's like a walking nightmare where they feel like a decaying corpse. This delusion can cause social withdrawal and emotional numbness. The cause is unknown, but it might be linked to brain damage or severe depression. Treatment involves medication and therapy to manage the delusions and improve the quality of life. Proly, delusional disorder. Reality isn't always what it seems. Delusional disorder involves fixed false beliefs that persist despite evidence to the contrary, often without the severe impairment in functioning seen in other psychotic disorders. You can see Proly disorder in a scriptwriter stuck on a single wild plot. People with this condition hold on to false beliefs very strongly, even when faced with evidence otherwise. Schizophrenia, the most well-known psychotic disorder, with symptoms like hallucinations, delusions, disorganized speech, and abnormal behavior. Folie à deux, shared psychotic disorder, occurs when two people share a similar delusional belief, often seen in close relationships like siblings or couples. Dissociative disorders. Amnesia, dissociative amnesia. Memory loss can be a terrifying thing. Dissociative amnesia takes it up a notch by causing sudden inability in individuals to recall important personal information and experiences. Dissociative fugue. Picture waking up in a completely unfamiliar place with no memory of how you got there. That's dissociative fugue, a rare and extreme form of dissociative amnesia, where individuals may unexpectedly travel and assume a new identity with an inability to recall one's past. Dissociative identity disorder, DID. Ever felt like there are different parts of your personality vying for control? That's dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder, characterized by the presence of two or more distinct identities or personality states, often accompanied by memory gaps. Depersonalization disorder. This is a dissociative disorder characterized by feeling detached from your body or mind, as if you're observing yourself from outside. It can be a very unsettling experience. Therapy can help individuals manage depersonalization and cope with the associated anxiety. Anxiety plus trauma and stress disorders. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia involves a fear of places or situations where escape might be difficult or embarrassing, often leading to avoidance behavior. Generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. Feeling constantly on edge, worrying about everything. That's generalized anxiety disorder, characterized by excessive and uncontrollable worry about multiple areas of life, accompanied by physical symptoms like muscle tension and restlessness. Panic disorder. Sudden and intense episodes of fear or anxiety that come on rapidly and peak within minutes. You can say panic attacks. Social anxiety disorder. Intense fear of social situations where someone might be scrutinized or judged. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Flashbacks, nightmares, intrusive memories, dissociation, hypervigilance, and avoidance of reminders may result after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. Acute stress disorder. Trauma can leave a lasting impact on our minds. Acute stress disorder occurs in response to a traumatic event that involves symptoms similar to PTSD, but they develop within 3 months of the event and last less than a month. Adjustment disorder. Life throws curveballs, and sometimes it's hard to cope. Difficulty adjusting to a significant life change often results in adjustment disorder. It usually involves the development of emotional or behavioral symptoms in response to a stressful life event, like divorce or job loss. Mood disorders. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder with extreme highs, mania, and lows, depression. During manic episodes, people might experience racing thoughts, increased energy, and risky behavior. Depressive episodes involve feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and low energy. Brief psychotic disorder. Reality can sometimes unravel in unexpected ways. Brief psychotic disorder involves the sudden onset of psychotic symptoms, like delusions or hallucinations, lasting less than a month. Depressive personality disorder. Do you know someone who's perpetually pessimistic and down in the dumps? They might be dealing with depressive personality disorder, characterized by a pervasive pattern of negative thinking, low self-esteem, and social withdrawal. Major depressive disorder. Persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in once enjoyable activities. Dysthymic disorder. A chronic low-grade depression that lasts for at least 2 years. Cyclothymic disorder. Many periods of hypomania, milder form of mania, and depressive symptoms, but not meeting the full criteria for bipolar disorder. Obsessive-compulsive and related disorders. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. Unwanted thoughts or behaviors that lead to repetitive behaviors or compulsions aimed at reducing anxiety. Body dysmorphic disorder. In a world obsessed with appearances, body dysmorphic disorder takes self-consciousness to another level. Individuals become excessively preoccupied with perceived flaws in their appearance, often leading to severe distress and impaired functioning. Trichotillomania, hair-pulling disorder. Ever found yourself compulsively pulling out your hair, even though you know it's causing damage? That's trichotillomania, characterized by the recurrent pulling out of one's hair, leading to noticeable hair loss and distress. Dermatillomania, skin-picking disorder. This involves a recurrent urge to pick at your skin, leading to noticeable injuries. It can be triggered by stress, anxiety, or boredom. Treatment often involves cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to identify triggers and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Somatic symptoms and related disorders. These involve physical symptoms that can't be fully explained by a medical condition. Conversion disorder. Sometimes emotional distress manifests as physical symptoms with no underlying medical cause. That's conversion disorder, characterized by neurological symptoms like seizures, paralysis, or blindness. Hypochondriasis, illness anxiety disorder. Ever been convinced you have a serious illness despite reassurance from doctors? That's hypochondriasis, now known as illness anxiety disorder, characterized by excessive worry about having a serious illness despite medical reassurance. Eating disorders. Anorexia nervosa, fear of food. Imagine being terrified of food. That's what anorexia can be like. People with anorexia restrict their eating severely, often fearing weight gain even when they're already underweight. They might obsess over calories and have rituals around food, like cutting it into tiny pieces or spending hours preparing a meal without eating it. This relentless focus on weight and food control takes a toll on their health, emotions, and social life. Bulimia, binge and purge cycle. Bulimia is a roller coaster ride of eating. People with bulimia experience binge episodes where they feel like they can't stop eating large amounts of food in a short time. This is often followed by intense shame and a desperate need to get rid of the calories. They might purge by vomiting, laxatives, or excessive exercise. The cycle of binging and purging can become a secret obsession, impacting their physical and mental health. Binge eating disorder, out of control eating. Binge eating disorder, or BED, is a battle with uncontrolled eating. People with BED experience frequent episodes of binge eating, similar to bulimia but without the purging behaviors. They might eat large amounts of food rapidly, feeling a loss of control and shame afterwards. Unlike anorexia, weight can vary, but BED can still lead to health problems like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Feeding and eating disorders of infancy or early childhood. Pica, cravings beyond food. Pica isn't your typical craving. It's an urge to eat things that aren't food, like dirt, chalk, or even hair. It might sound strange, but for people with pica, these non-nutritive substances become strangely appealing. This can be dangerous, leading to malnutrition, blockages in the digestive system, and even poisoning. Pica can happen at any age, but it's more common in children and pregnant women. Rumination syndrome. It's a feeding disorder where people bring back up partially digested food from their stomach, often without even realizing it. They might rechew it or spit it out, but unlike throwing up, it's not forceful. This can be uncomfortable and lead to weight loss, dehydration, and dental problems. Rumination syndrome can be caused by physical or psychological issues, and treatment depends on the underlying cause. Sleep-wake disorders. Primary hypersomnia. Imagine sleeping for 10 hours and still feeling exhausted. That's primary hypersomnia. People with this disorder experience excessive sleepiness throughout the day, no matter how much sleep they get. They might struggle to wake up in the morning, feel sluggish all day, and even fall asleep in unusual situations. Sleepwalking disorder. Ever woken up in a strange place and had no idea how you got there? That could be sleepwalking. People with this disorder walk, talk, and even eat while unconscious. They might seem awake but have no memory of their nighttime adventures. While usually harmless, it can be dangerous if they wander outside or hurt themselves. Nightmare disorder. Nightmares are scary, but nightmare disorder takes it to another level. People with this condition experience frequent, vivid nightmares that feel very real. They might wake up terrified, sweating, and with a racing heart. These bad dreams can disrupt sleep and make it difficult to feel rested during the day. Primary insomnia. We've all had nights where we toss and turn, but primary insomnia is a persistent problem. People with this disorder have difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, even when they're tired. They might lie awake for hours, feeling frustrated and worried about not getting enough sleep. This lack of sleep can have a big impact on their energy, mood, and overall health. Disruptive impulse control and conduct disorders. Oppositional defiant disorder. Imagine a teenager who argues for the sake of arguing, gets annoyed easily, and seems to enjoy pushing buttons. That's oppositional defiant disorder. ODD in a nutshell. It's a common childhood disorder where kids have trouble following rules and are often angry or irritable and seem to defy authority figures on purpose. Conduct disorder. Think of conduct disorder, CD, as ODD's more serious older sibling. Kids with CD don't just argue, they break the rules in a big way. They might lie, steal, fight, bully, or even damage property. This behavior can cause serious problems at home, school, and with the law. Kleptomania. Kleptomania isn't your typical shoplifting. People with this disorder have an irresistible urge to steal things, even if they don't need or want them. They might feel a sense of tension before stealing, followed by relief afterwards. It's not about getting away with it, but about the uncontrollable impulse to take something. Pyromania. Fire can be peaceful, but for people with pyromania, it's an obsession. They have a strong urge to deliberately set fires and might feel fascinated or even aroused by watching them burn. This dangerous disorder can have devastating consequences, putting themselves and others at risk. Personality disorders. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Imagine a rule book others follow, but ASPD rips it to shreds. They charm their way in, then exploit and manipulate for their own gain. Empathy? Not a thing. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. Emotions on a roller coaster? Welcome to BPD. Intense feelings, impulse actions, and rocky relationships are the norm. One minute they love you, the next they hate you. Historic personality disorder, HPD. The center of attention, always. People with HPD crave the spotlight and use drama or theatrics to get it. Think larger-than-life emotions and flamboyant behavior. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. The world revolves around them and everyone else is just an extra. People with NPD have an inflated ego, need constant admiration, and believe they're superior to others. Avoidant personality disorder, AVPD. Social anxiety on steroids? That's AVPD. They fear rejection so much that they avoid social situations, feeling inferior and overly self-conscious. Dependent personality disorder, DPD. Can't make a decision without someone else's approval? DPD might be why. People with DPD cling to others for support, fearing being alone and unable to take care of themselves. Obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, OCPD. Perfectionism on overdrive. Order, rules, and control are their middle names. Relaxation is a foreign concept, and delegating tasks is nearly impossible. Schizoid personality disorder, SPD. Think solitary mountain hermit. People with SPD prefer to be alone, have a limited range of emotions, and show little interest in social connections. Paraphilic disorders, exhibitionism. Ever encountered someone who gets a thrill from exposing themselves in public? That's exhibitionism, a paraphilic disorder characterized by recurrent and intense sexual arousal from exposing one's genitals to unsuspecting strangers. Neurocognitive disorders, substance abuse. Sometimes people turn to substances to cope with life's challenges. Substance abuse involves the excessive use of substances like alcohol and drugs despite negative consequences, leading to addiction and dependence. Substance dependence. Dependence is when your brain gets rewired to crave a substance, alcohol, or other drugs. You might need more and more to feel normal, and stopping can lead to withdrawal symptoms like tremors, sweating, or even hallucinations. This disrupts brain functions like memory, learning, and coordination. It's serious, but with help, you can get the music back on track. Intellectual disabilities. Joubert syndrome. Joubert syndrome isn't your typical intellectual disability. It's more like a rare brain development hiccup. Imagine the brain as a fancy control center, and Joubert syndrome messes with the wiring in the balance and coordination area. This can lead to wobbly walking, trouble talking clearly, and even breathing problems in early life. While intellectual development can vary, some people with Joubert syndrome might need extra support in learning and reaching milestones. Communication disorders. Expressive language disorder. Ever tried to have a conversation with someone who just grunts and gestures? That can be frustrating. Expressive language disorder is like that, but for people who understand everything you say, they have trouble getting their own thoughts and ideas out. It's not a problem with intelligence, but they might struggle to use complex sentences to find the right words. They might seem shy or withdrawn because talking can be difficult. The good news is, with speech therapy and some extra support, they can learn to express themselves clearly. Gender dysphoria. Gender identity dysphoria. Imagine you woke up one morning in a costume you weren't crazy about. That's kind of how gender dysphoria can feel. Your gender identity, the sense of being male, female, or something else, doesn't quite line up with the sex you were assigned at birth. This mismatch can cause stress and discomfort. But remember, it's not about wanting to be the opposite sex. It's about finding a way to express your true gender identity and feel comfortable in your own skin. Other mental disorders. Olfactory reference syndrome. This is a rare one. It's like your brain is a factory that keeps recycling old negative experiences. People with this syndrome believe their body parts or thoughts don't belong to them, comparing them to faulty machinery. Diogenes syndrome. Picture a hoarder with a twist. People with Diogenes syndrome distrust others and believe they can't rely on material possessions. This can lead to them living in cluttered conditions, even if it means neglecting their own health. General Adaptation Syndrome, GAS. Imagine life as a roller coaster. Gas is your body's response to stress, like that surge of adrenaline when the car dips. It's helpful in short bursts, but chronic stress can leave you drained, just like riding a roller coaster all day. Erotomania. Imagine a celebrity crush turned way up. People with erotomania develop a delusional belief that someone, often famous, is in love with them. Enuresis. Bedwetting. This is common in young children, but can persist in some cases. It's not about laziness, but about the body not sending the right signals to the bladder. Encopresis. Soiling. Similar to bedwetting, encopresis is involuntary bowel movements in children over the age of 4. It can be caused by constipation, stress, or a medical condition. Onychophagia. Nail biting. We all have nervous habits, and nail biting is a common one. Onychophagia is when nail biting becomes excessive and causes problems, like infections or damaged nails. Bibliomania. Love books? That's great. Bibliomania is when it goes a bit too far. People with this condition have a compulsive need to acquire books, even if they don't have space or the means to care for them. Munchausen syndrome. This is a complex condition where someone pretends to have a physical or psychological illness. It's not about attention seeking, but a deeper emotional need. It's not all about doom and gloom. Seeking help is crucial. Whew, that was a whirlwind tour of some mental illnesses. Remember, this is just a starting point. If you recognize any of these experiences in yourself or someone you care about, there is hope. Mental illnesses are treatable with a variety of approaches, including psychotherapy, talk therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes. Don't hesitate to seek help from a qualified mental health professional. Remember, you're not alone. By talking openly about mental health, we can all work towards reducing stigma and getting the help and support people need. Remember, understanding mental illness is the first step towards empathy and support. And mental health is just as important as physical health. Take care of yourself and each other.